Some folks talk a good game, dropping big ideas and quoting books, making you think they're on some higher plane of smarts. But their words feel like they're pulled from a database, loaded but not alive. Then there's others who say little, don't seem to know much but one line. One look stops you cold, like something deep inside you just woke up. Real wisdom isn't about how much you know, it's about the depth of life within you. In an age drowning in info, the gap between knowing and seeing matters more than ever. Knowing is stacking up facts. Seeing is waking up. Knowing can be copied, seeing can't be taught. Knowing is head stuff. Seeing is the work of an awake mind. That's where real wisdom kicks in. Why do some study their whole lives and stay stuck in the dark? Why do others who never cracked a philosophy book live with deep understanding and kindness? The answer lies in what wisdom really is, and its different levels. We all live, think and act from a certain level of wisdom. That level shapes what we see, what we get, and how we live. Today, let's dive into 5 levels of wisdom with Triad Tam. This isn't some theory or a ranking system. It's about figuring out where you're at on your inner journey. Not to memorize more stuff, but to see what level your mind's tuned to right now. Level 1: Borrowed wisdom. This is where most of us start out. Your understanding comes entirely from what others say, write or teach. It's not from real life experience, just memorizing and repeating like a mirror. Reflecting someone else's light, never shining your own. People here get swayed by ideas that sound legit, especially if they come from a big name or a famous book. They can talk about love, enlightenment, or selflessness, but it's all secondhand. They're not speaking from their own path, just echoing someone else's spot. They know a ton about truth, but haven't lived it. You can spot this level when folks lean hard on quotes from philosophers, scientists, or saints. They're always trying to prove they're right by clinging to outside knowledge. But that clinging shows they haven't touched truth with their own hands or heart. They think understanding is enough, not realizing that knowing without seeing or living is still a wall between them and themselves. These folks might fool themselves into thinking they've got it figured out. They sound deep, others admire them, so they assume they're on a higher level. But really, they're just lost in a maze of fancy words. They repeat big ideas without knowing those words are just pointers, not the real deal. They think they're moving forward, but they're just circling an idea. Someone with borrowed wisdom is like a guy who learns to swim by reading about it. They can tell you about strokes, physics and body mechanics in water, but toss them in a pool and they'll flail in panic. The sad part: the more they know, the harder it is to admit they don't really know. Nobody's to blame for starting here, it's part of the journey. But if you don't face up to how much you're borrowing, knowledge can trap you, and wisdom can turn into a delusion. Only by seeing you're repeating others can you start hearing your own inner voice, where real wisdom begins. Level 2: Reflective wisdom. This is a big step forward on the path to understanding. You stop just soaking up outside info and start meeting your own inner world. You begin to question what you've always believed was true. No more blindly trusting what you've heard, learned, or repeated. But this isn't some impulsive rebellion, it's a quiet, deep unease that lingers. People at this level still learn from books or others, but they pause before buying in. That tiny pause is the first sign real wisdom's taking shape. They're not just recording info anymore. They're asking, is this true? Does this match my own experience? Who's believing this in me and why? This shift brings inner conflict, because you're facing beliefs tied to your identity, past family or faith. Truth stops being a simple right answer. It becomes a life or death question. You can't coast anymore on untested ideas. Reflective wisdom opens the door to self-questioning, where your ego starts to crack. You see, you can be sharp, but still fool yourself. You can argue like a pro, but dodge ugly truths about yourself. You start spotting the hidden motives behind your actions. You believe stuff not because it's true, but because it feels safe. This realization humbles you. Nobody climbs to a higher level without passing through this stage. It's the foundation of any awakening, whether in philosophy, psychology, or meditation. It's the first faint light shining into the dark corners of your mind. Once that light's on, you can't fake it anymore. You may not know the truth yet, but you start sniffing out your own lies. Reflective wisdom isn't cozy. It makes you restless, but it's the good kind of restless. It doesn't hand you answers, but sparks an inner honesty. That honesty is the first seed of freedom. When you stop going easy on your own beliefs, real wisdom starts to sprout. Level 3 self-grown wisdom. Here your knowledge, thoughts and experiences start crystallizing into something deeper. You're not leaning on outside sources or stuck in endless questioning anymore. Wisdom settles into your mind and body. What you've heard, read, or doubted has either fallen away or been tested by real life. People at this level don't rush to share what they know. Not because they're shy, but because some things can't be put into words. Every dewy pain, failure, or letting go leaves a layer of insight in them. From that wisdom, unlike book smarts, takes root. It's not on the tip of their tongue. It's in their eyes. They're calm. In tough times, they're quiet, listening. Self-grown wisdom isn't flashy or loud like intellectual flexing. It's got a quiet weight, not from degrees or status, but from being fully present. These folks aren't rattled by surface level right or wrong praise or criticism. They see people not by titles or words, but by how they live. Do they walk their talk, or are they just playing a polished role? Another sign of this level: they can tell real from fake without overthinking. It's not about experience or skill. It's a gut-level clarity. They hear what's behind words, see what's left unsaid, because they've walked those same twists and turns, felt the pain, the loss, the truth. Self-grown wisdom doesn't try to seem smart or impress anyone. It just shows up, and from that presence, things get clear, simple, profound. These folks might stay quiet in a chat, but one well-timed word can cut through the noise. They don't need to prove anything. Their presence is proof enough. If borrowed wisdom is light from outside, and reflective wisdom is light turned inward, self-grown wisdom is a steady flame burning from within. It's warm enough to comfort, fierce enough to burn away any leftover fakeness. Here words and life start to blend. There's no gap between what you get and how you live. That's why these folks feel trustworthy, even if they're not trying to win you over. Level 4 ego-free wisdom. This is where your view isn't clouded by the need to prop up your self-image. It's not about one person chasing being right anymore. It's the clarity of a mind that's let go of me. These folks don't see themselves as the center of the universe. They don't use knowledge to win arguments, gain clout, or polish their ego. This shift doesn't come from forcing the ego away. It's from seeing what the ego really is. It's a mirage built from memories, habits, and the urge to exist. Once they see that, the mind stops defending itself from their thoughts. Feelings and actions get realer, untainted by personal agendas. Ego-free wisdom doesn't care about right or wrong, by society's rules or logic. It cares about what's actually true. These folks can sit through a debate without jumping in, not because they lack arguments, but because they see what's driving it. They spot egos clawing for a validation, fighting to keep their self-image alive. While others argue, they see the whole machinery of the mind at work. That makes them deeply still. They don't cling to any ideology, religion, philosophy, or science. They might use those words to connect, but they don't tie themselves to any system. They've seen all ideas are shaped by time, culture, and collective minds. Nothing's absolute. They live in a freedom that doesn't fight or reject anything. They're not trapped by any version of right. Ego-free wisdom comes with an inner quiet, not forced, just natural. When you don't need to show off. They watch where others react, notice where others analyze, and see the subtle dance of cause and effect, where others lean on logic. Not because they're chasing some spiritual high, but because their mind's clear before reality. These folks make you feel lighter just by being around, without doing anything flashy. They don't try to convince, but their presence can light up a room, without words. They don't need to be heard, but when they speak it's precise. Quiet, hitting the hidden core. With no ego to boost or protect. Their insights are free and unbiased. Ego-free wisdom is like a still lake. It doesn't try to reflect, but everything shows up clearly. That lack of trying is what makes their seeing so deep. Without an ego in the way, things are seen as they are, no more, no less. In that view, all concepts dissolve, leaving just the pure flow of reality. Level 5, wordless wisdom. This is where even the idea of wisdom falls apart. There's no one left to know, nothing left to figure out. Trying to explain, describe, or analyze becomes pointless. Reality doesn't need a label to exist, it's complete in its raw presence. These folks don't live by thoughts, not because they ditch thinking, but because thoughts aren't running the show. Their mind's like a quiet space, where every moment comes and goes, fully felt but leaving no trace. They don't try to understand anything. Seeing that trying creates a gap between them and life. When the ego goes silent, truth speaks not in words, but in direct presence. Wordless wisdom isn't the opposite of ignorance, or the peak of smarts. It's beyond every split, right versus wrong, light versus dark, awake versus lost. Every divide melts into a full whole. Seeing. These folks don't see themselves as practicing, learning, or growing. They just live fully in each moment. They work, chat, laugh, eat, do dishes like anyone else. But inside, there's no control center, steering or judging. No questions like, is this right? What should I say? What do they think of me? The me has dissolved into everything. With no separate self, every action flows pure, simple, effortless. These folks seem ordinary, even misunderstood as nothing special. They don't drop profound lines. Don't act like they know it all. Don't stand out. But spend time with them and you feel a deep calm. Light as a breeze, clear as sunlight. It's not pushy, but always there. Fully present. They don't need your admiration or approval. There's no one left to need it. Wordless wisdom can't be earned through practice or by climbing the other levels. It shows up when all effort stops. When the thirst for smarts or enlightenment fades. When every label of self dissolves in total surrender. Only then does what's always been there reveal itself, not through eyes or mind, but through its own silent emptiness. Picture wordless wisdom like sunlight. It doesn't pick where to shine. Doesn't have a goal, doesn't need to be noticed. It's just there, and that presence is the light. These folks aren't knowers anymore, they are knowing. Not seers, but seeing itself boundless and wordless. After these 5 levels, what's left isn't a new definition or a system to memorize. It's a quiet question ringing inside you. Where am I living from? From an ego piling up facts, or from a clear mirror with nothing to defend? Every level has its place, none are wrong. But linger too long at one, and life starts to feel boxed in. You get trapped by the very knowledge you thought was truth. Some stay stuck in borrowed wisdom, thinking they've seen it all. Some stall at reflection, mistaking it for being awake. Some stop at self-grown wisdom, using it to judge others. Even ego-free wisdom can trap you if you cling to the idea of no ego. Only in wordless wisdom, where there is no one walking or knowing, do you see it. Wisdom isn't something you collect, it's what's left when you let go of everything. No me seeing, no thing to see. Just pure seeing, no purpose. No shape. That's the root of a life that's awake and free. So the question isn't what level you've reached. It's whether you're living from that truth. Do you dare stay quiet about what you haven't truly seen? Can you let go of the knowledge that's been your crutch? Are you brave enough to not need to be anyone or understand anything, just live fully in what is? Wisdom isn't for show, debate, or winning people over. Real wisdom makes you simpler, truer, less talky, more present. It pulls you from the noise of knowledge into the quiet of a nameless knowing. If after this journey you can sit back, ease your mind and listen to what's alive in you, maybe wisdom's already brushing against you. Not through ideas or theories, but through its raw, no strings attached presence. Thanks for joining Triatam on this ride. See you in the next video. As always, wishing you and yours all the health in the world.